Hello, it's John here. We're going to continue with League One fixtures as released recently, and we're going to continue with our fourth set of fixtures, starting with Exeter City. So, where do Exeter City start? Oh, it's with my team. It's Exeter City versus Rotherham United. So, they've got a pretty uh, tough side to start with. Northampton Town, then they travel to Northampton Town, Exeter City. Exeter City, Peterborough. This is going to be a good one, isn't it? And then Bolton Wanderers versus Exeter City. So there we have. We've got Bolton, we've got Peterborough, we've got Rotherham, and we've got Northampton in the first month. I would say that's a pretty hefty. Yeah, it's a pretty difficult start for the boys from Exeter. That's going to be quite a tough month in August. So we go into September with Exeter versus Birmingham. Oh my God, what have they put onto Exeter? And then on the second week in September, we got Blackpool versus Exeter. My God, they're not doing very well here. Exeter versus Stevenage. Wigan versus Exeter. September alone has Birmingham, it has Blackpool, it has Wigan, and then they have the unknown of Stevenage. The first 2 months look very, very difficult for Exeter City. They must have some easy months in here. We go on to October. Leyton Orient versus Exeter City, Exeter versus Cambridge, Exeter versus Mansfield Town, Shrewsbury versus Exeter, Exeter versus Reading. Okay, a difficult-ish one. A more difficult one on to end October. Huddersfield Town versus Exeter City. So October is a nice, gentle month if ever there was one. The short month of November becomes Exeter Charlton, Exeter Lincoln City, and Wrexham versus Exeter. That could go either way. We don't know what Lincoln City are going to turn out like this year. They ended it really well last year. And Wrexham are, of course, completely unknown as to how they're going to attack the transfer window. Going into December, we have Exeter versus Wycombe Wanderers, Stockport County versus Exeter, Exeter Barnsley, Burton Exeter, Exeter Bristol Rovers, and 29th of December they finish the year with Exeter Crawley. That's actually quite a nice mix. That's not too difficult, I don't think. I think that's something more akin to a League One fixture list. We go into January and we go Wycombe Wanderers versus Exeter. Let's see if we get all those lumped together again. So they start with Wycombe Wanderers, Exeter, Exeter Bolton, Peterborough Exeter, Birmingham City Exeter, Exeter Blackpool. They were together at the beginning. Exeter Leyton Orient. So they've slightly moved them around, but that's still quite a difficult month. They've moved Rotherham away from that, I know, I can see. We're going to February, and it's Stevenage versus Exeter. That got slightly pushed back. Exeter Wigan, Cambridge Exeter, and Charlton Exeter. I don't know, probably a decent mix-ish. Then we're into March, and we're going towards the end of the season. Exeter Northampton, Reading Exeter, Exeter Shrewsbury Town, Rotherham United Exeter. There we are. They pushed it quite far back. Lincoln City Exeter. They pushed that one back too. Exeter City versus Wrexham. So that got pushed back. So there's 3 end games there are okay. They're a nice mix. They're one from that's come up from League Two. We've got Lincoln City who finish well, and we've got Rotherham coming down. So it could be a decent mix for them, really. We end the year in April with Barnsley Exeter, Exeter Stockport, Bristol Rovers Exeter, Exeter Burton Albion, Crawley versus Exeter. Yeah, we're doing okay. And then they get hit with, but it's at home, Exeter City versus Huddersfield Town on the last game of April. And they finish the season in May with Mansfield Town versus Exeter. Now, I think that those first 3 months, certainly those first 2. I mean, I look back at it. You've got August, which is quite difficult. September, which is yeah, that's quite going to be quite hard, I think. Yeah, those first 2 months for Exeter are going to be absolutely critical, and they get something from that, and they don't lose heart because they are playing the top sides, and that is one of the toughest opening 2 months that I've seen so far in my 4 videos. So thank you very much for the Exeter result, Exeter fixtures, and we'll now move on. So let's move on with Huddersfield Town. And Huddersfield Town Open is Peterborough United versus Huddersfield. Wow, that's a nice meaty one to start with. Huddersfield Stevenage, yeah, they won the leagues. Let's see how they do. Huddersfield Shrewsbury and Rotherham Huddersfield. So that's going to be, I'd say that's actually quite a decent mix if you think that Stevenage are rather an unknown. And they've got Shrewsbury in there as well. So that's a decent August for Huddersfield. Who then go into September with Huddersfield Blackpool, Bolton, Huddersfield Northampton, and Reading versus Huddersfield. So September becomes a little bit more difficult if we think that Reading could be, and they're looking like they're putting together a good team to make a push for the top half. So that could be the month where things start to just push a little bit more pressure on them. And then we go into an interesting start of October because we get Birmingham City versus Huddersfield, followed by Huddersfield Barnsley. So that is going to be a tough 2 games. That's going to be a couple of games where they just have to pull everything together, and they're going into this short month of November. They don't want to get too many injuries if they can help it at this point. And we go Leyton, Orient, Huddersfield, Bristol Rovers, and try and just relax a little bit. And then we get Wrexham, Huddersfield, an unknown, Huddersfield, Exeter City. So actually, October starts a little bit difficult with those 2 games, but it ends quite easily, really, quite decent. So we go into November, the short month, and it's Crawley, Huddersfield, Wycombe Wanderers, Huddersfield, and Huddersfield Charlton Athletic. So that's going to be quite a difficult 2 games there. I think the Wycombe Wanderers away and home to Charlton Athletic, because Charlton are doing some really good transfers at the minute. I'm quite impressed by them. That could be quite a little bit of a stumbling block there. Then we go into December, and I just scan them before I read them out. It starts off quite interesting. It starts with Huddersfield Town versus Wigan Athletic. I think it goes to Mansfield Town, Huddersfield, the unknown one, Huddersfield Lincoln, and then 21st of December is Cambridge Huddersfield, and then Huddersfield Stockport. Again, don't know how they're going to play, what sort of team they're going to put together. And then Huddersfield versus Burton Albion. We're actually making some decent signings. So now we're starting to see a nice mix for December. We go into the new year, January, and we start with Wigan Athletic versus Huddersfield. Ooh, that could be difficult. Huddersfield Rotherham could be difficult. Shrewsbury Town Huddersfield, Blackpool Huddersfield, Huddersfield Bolton, and Huddersfield versus Birmingham City. Now, they are actually playing those tough teams, apart from Wigan, all those tough teams they're playing now, they're playing them at home. So although they're tough, they are playing at home. They have got home advantage. It is a tough month though, but like I say, home advantage could be critical in January. Into February, we got Northampton versus Huddersfield, Huddersfield Reading, okay, Barnsley Huddersfield, and then Huddersfield Peterborough. Now that's more of a mix, and that's more of a mix. That's a little bit more wondering how Reading play, I suppose, and playing Barnsley and Peterborough away and home will be an interesting 2 that are put together. If we go to March, because that's at the end of that month, we've got Stevenage Huddersfield, Huddersfield Wrexham, so 2 that we really don't know how they're going to play next year. And then we go a little bit more League One-ish with Bristol Rovers Huddersfield, Huddersfield Crawley, and we end the March period with Huddersfield Wickham. That could be a difficult game, but they are at home. And they've got Charlton Athletic versus Huddersfield, and Charlton really are making some good signings. That could be quite a stumbling block there, especially since it's away from home. So it's a decent mix. I think that they shouldn't be too worried as they go into April. Where they start with on April Fool's Day with Lincoln City versus Huddersfield, Huddersfield Mansfield Town, Burton Albion Huddersfield, Huddersfield Cambridge. So nice League One games all the way through. Stockport Huddersfield, Exeter City Huddersfield. They'll be flying into April thinking we can end with a really good run, and it's going to be really tight at the top. And if it is, Huddersfield will be the ones to watch, because now you're seeing that Huddersfield, if they can keep up with the top teams or be ahead of them by the beginning of or the end of March, April's going to be quite good for them. And you can see how they would be able to get a lot of points from April. And they finish in May with Huddersfield versus Leyton Orient. So it's all the way to the end of the season. They have an amazing end to the season, Huddersfield Town, but they have just that one or two little bits where they're going to be playing the top teams almost together, but they've got a nice mix overall. That's the only time they've really got it is at the beginning of the year in January, February. But then they're playing the top teams at home. So actually, if I was a Huddersfield Town fan, I'd be quite happy, and I'd be thinking, yeah, that's probably one of the best ones I've looked at so far. So that's Huddersfield Town. So let's carry on with Leyton Orient, and we'll finish this video 4 with Leyton Orient starting against Bolton Wanderers. Ow, what a start. And then they go to Charlton Leyton Orient. And then it's Leyton Orient Birmingham. Oh, wow, what a 3-game starter for Leyton Orient. Shrewsbury Town, Leyton Orient, and they've now been battered in August. They really are going to have to make sure that they are really strong at the back. Those games are not going to be easy. Leyton Orient Peterborough for September. Reading Leyton Orient, Stockport Leyton Orient, and Leyton Orient versus Wrexham. Into October, we get Leyton Orient Exeter, and Lincoln versus Leyton Orient, and Leyton Orient Huddersfield, difficult one, and Northampton versus Leyton Orient. And then they have 2 possibly difficult games, Leyton Orient Rotherham and Wickham Wanderers Leyton Orient. So that's a decent set of games, and you would expect them to get at least 1 or 2 ones that are decent. I go into November with Leyton Orient Blackpool, Leyton Orient versus Mansfield, and Stevenage versus Leyton Orient. So that's not bad. I think that they'd be ending the year as we go into December, feeling a little bit more happy about things, and hopefully, as long as that doesn't get them in the doldrums and they all start feeling bad for themselves in the first perhaps 6 games with lots of defeats, they should be doing well by December. Leyton Orient versus Bristol Rovers, Wigan versus Leyton Orient, a nice mix. Leyton Orient versus Burton Albion, a difficult one on 21st of December, Barnsley versus Leyton Orient. 26th is Leyton Orient versus Crawley, and then we have Leyton Orient Cambridge. So actually, they can make a really good end to the year if they really do keep in with it. Now into January, we see Bristol Rovers versus Leyton Orient Shrewsbury, and we must return with some of these top sides at some point. And here's where they start to come in: Birmingham City Leyton Orient, Peterborough Leyton Orient, Leyton Orient Reading, okay, an unknown, Exeter Leyton Orient. So we've now split them a little bit. This is a little bit easier for them, not like it was in the first month. We go to February, Leyton Orient versus Stockport, Wrexham versus Leyton Orient. They might be a little bit more happy with those 2. And then an unknown Leyton Orient versus Lincoln City. And then we go for one of the hard ones, Bolton Wanderers versus Leyton Orient. And into March, where we see a couple more, probably a difficult start. We've got Leyton Orient, Charlton, Rotherham United, Leyton Orient, Leyton Orient, Northampton, Blackpool, Leyton Orient, Mansfield, Leyton Orient, and they come home for the last game of March with Leyton Orient, Stevenage. So actually, that's quite a decent mix. They've got Charlton, but it's at home. They've got Rotherham, but that's away. So it's a decent mix. Home and away, League One, strong League One sides. Yeah, that's quite. We're ending the season a little bit better than we started. And for April, we've got Burton Albion versus Leyton Orient, Wigan, Crawley, Leyton Orient, Barnsley. But that's at home, so they might have a chance there. Cambridge versus Leyton Orient, Wickham. So not a bad. I think April is actually quite good for them. April, I would be reasonably happy being a Leyton Orient fan. And they end with a bit of a pig. Huddersfield Town versus Leyton Orient on the last day of the season, but they have had they should be able to muster a good run to that. And if you can muster a good run to that, and Huddersfield are probably going to be out and promoted, or they'll know where they are by then, and they're not going to be worried about. They'll be on the beach. Even if they're in the top six, they'll still be guaranteed a top six place, I should imagine, by that point. And if Leyton Orient have been doing so well up to that point, they could quite easily come away with a point from that game, purely because of Huddersfield Town's situation at that point in time. It may be a very good time to play them. So that's those three, and there's been some interesting concoctions of fixtures there. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. There'll be more videos coming out soon, and there'll be several watch-alongs. So if you like, subscribe, click the bell, and I'll see you at the beginning of League One.